happiest memory as a teacher?
As a teacher, being able to compete and battle with one of my students.
Oh, nice. Worst memory as a performer?
When I blanked out, front and center on the Urban Street Jam stage on my own very own choreography. I blanked out. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Throwing Tantrums podcast, or the Move Groove Grow podcast, depending on where you guys are listening to this. Today is going to be a slightly different format. Instead of me interviewing one of my dancers from Temper Tantrum, we're changing the roles here and flipping it. And today I'm going to be interviewed. And, because I figured while I'm interviewing all these dancers and getting to know them, I figured it would be great. I feel like I have a lot of content out there, but I figured it'd be interesting to let the dancers interview me and let them ask the questions that they might have in mind, because they don't exactly have all the time in the world to be watching my YouTube channel, and I have thousands of videos on there. So yeah, so a little bit about me, I guess. I don't know if I ever did intros on this, but excuse me. I am Emeroy, CEO of Vision Paradox and Temper Tantrum, and I do a lot of K-pop reaction videos. And Krystle, introduce yourself real quick.
Hi there, my name is Krystle Vergara, and I'm one of the co-directors of Temper Tantrum. Yeah,
so let's take it away. It's your interview now. I'm just gonna answer the questions. Shit. Okay, she's been making it seem like super sus with this interview. She's like, I got some juicy ones.
Who are you really? We get to know you. And not everyone's gonna know your background, and not all, even the members are gonna know your backgrounds. I think this is gonna be a great opportunity for people to get to know our great leader.
Ew.
All right. So I'm going to get going to the first question. How old were you when you first began to experiment with dance?
And drugs?
I knew you'd say And what was your form of experimentation? So how old were you, and how did you start to experiment with dance?
I was 8 when I first started dancing. There was no form. I learned the first song I ever danced to was Michael Jackson, Bad. And I was just dancing behind the couch. I didn't know what dancing was. I was just moving because I really liked it. But in terms of my first form of dancing, I guess would be choreography. But that would become later, in 6th grade, during the NSYNC era, Usher era. And then I didn't start all I would do was, watch record them on TRL, review the choreography, slow-mo it, and learn the choreography that way. But I didn't really get any training until my junior year of high school. So
you would say, MJ, how did that come about? Were you watching TV and you saw a music video and you're like, that person's moving in a way that I like, I want to do that too? How did it?
No, it wasn't even seeing him. It was just a really dope beat. Because the whole bum 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 dun 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 dun, that part this part. Song was sick. I'm I didn't even care about who was singing. It was just a really good song. And I was just dancing around because it was a really good song. Yeah.
I think that affected a lot of us, but that's very cool. All right, so then this kind of leads into the next one. Who influenced your favorite style of dance, and how did you come about it, and how did you make it your own?
Who influenced my favorite style of dance?
Mm-hmm. I know you break dance a lot, but what did you see? Who was it that made you want to go and do it yourself?
Who influenced my favorite style of dance? I really don't think I have a favorite. I'd say I guess my influences from some of my favorite styles. Primarily, first off was choreography. I'm gonna go off with that, which it was obviously NSYNC, Usher, and all that stuff. Those guys were what inspired me to start doing choreography. But after high school, when I needed to find another way to dance that didn't rely on a group, which was breaking. That was really influenced by my other friends who were not in the high school dance team but were breaking, and they got me into it, and they showed me like the documentaries like Freshest Kids and whatnot. They like, and the b-boys from there, I guess those b-boys like Style Elements and Alienness inspired me with that. And with locking, it was primarily a locker named P-Lock. When I was doing like it was really in my phase of history of researching and history and not all that. So I saw his stuff, saw how he killed it with musicality with locking. So I picked that up. Yeah. And I guess another part that kind of was the gateway drug, so to speak, that got me interested in freestyling to begin with was You Got Served. So that movie really played a huge influence in me wanting to start learning how to battle and freestyle.
There you go. All right. So then how old were you when you first started to take classes? And this is like younger years. And did you start to teach yourself? Were you practicing things at home first, or did you jump right into lessons when things really kicked off?
I never took classes until high school.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I never took classes. The only reason I joined the dance team is because all my friends were in it, and I had no one to hang out with after school anymore. So I was like, "Fuck, man!" So I decided to join them, and because I had prior experience picking up choreo from VHS and all that stuff, everyone who thought because at that time I was branded a skater boy and hated dancing. They're surprised that I picked up the choreography much faster than some of the veterans. So I guess that's where I actually started getting training, because I stepped in, auditioned for the hardest squad, and almost made it.
So when you say you were a skater boy and people thought you hated dancing, I know that, I think I remember a story about this. You enjoyed dance early on, watching him. Yeah. What happened there?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I was getting really into like learning the choreography from VHS tapes in 6th grade, but I was also like that. It was also during an era where boys dancing was not cool. So I was practicing my NSYNC dance moves. Like 4 kids, I remember what they looked like too. Like it's because it was such a embarrassing, heartbreaking moment for me, and they started laughing at me. It's like, what are you doing? What are you like the FAG word? And I was like, oh God, I remember the crushing, painful moment of being judged for this thing that I loved doing, because I was like, it was practicing pacing. It was a piece from like I Want You Back, and I was practicing it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And and at that time I remember thinking like, wait, I didn't know his name back then, but it was Justin Timberlake. Justin was like practicing, he's pacing on one hand, but what if I do 2? So I was like trying to create as a kid, but then boom, I was judged. And I remember walking home from that day from school saying like, I'm never gonna dance again. Like I remember hearing that voice so loudly, like in my head and in my heart. I'm like, I'm never gonna do this. And then I stopped completely, and I just really got into skating. And I was like, skating became another outlet for me to direct my energy. But throughout all that, I kind of like took on this belief as well that boys shouldn't dance and it's stupid. And so that was like the thing that I kind of accepted, and I kind of like embodied myself. So and then even throughout my high school year, it was like I remember like 9th grade, 10th grade, they would have these rallies, and they would. The other guys that were on the team, we would just be like, oh, that's gay, oh, boys dancing, that's stupid. And I remember, I think my sophomore year, one of the rallies, they booed the all male team, and then the following rally, they did a routine that flipped off the entire crowd, and I think they yelled out "fuck you," and I was like, yo, respect. all this other time while I'm hating on them, I'm like, yeah, that's whack. I'm like, dang, that's fucking tight. Taking backflip.
Of course you were down for that.
But yeah. And then I knew I kind of wanted to be in it obviously like when I saw it when I was in high school, when I was a freshman, but I was still trying to take on the whole thing of like, it's not cool to do it. I didn't. Yeah, that's why I joined so late, because I had other friends that did it.
Well, we're glad you got back to it. So that kind of leads me into next thing. I have an idea of this. I'm not sure if everyone else is aware, but earlier when YouTube first started, to my understanding, you took to that platform quickly and started teaching tutorials. This is to my understanding.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, can you explain to us how you came about posting dance tutorials, and how old were you when you did this, and what platforms did you do this on besides YouTube?
The main thing, I mean, I started uploading to YouTube like the minute it came out, but it was primarily like sharing dance videos to friends, because what I used to do prior to YouTube was like all these collegiate dance companies had their own websites at the time, and you can watch their performances, and I would just I like collecting footage. Even then, I was collecting footage. Like I would download footage of Team Millennia, Cabo Modern, just so I can like watch it and be inspired. Even old like Jabberwockies from back then.
Evolve Volts.
Yeah. So like, but I started doing more tutorial stuff around 2012, 2013, when I learned that you can monetize, like you can make money off doing tutorials. So I decided to do like my own thing. YouTube was the only one I know that allowed you, that people were making money off it. So I decided to do that. And then from there, I discovered this other platform called Udemy, decided to give it a shot, upload my stuff there, give it a nice curriculum. And yeah, it's been giving me a nice side income here and there. But yeah, I haven't been doing that much tutorials lately, because for obvious reasons, were COVID times, and partially because I'm lazy as fuck. But like it takes a lot of effort. It really takes a lot of effort to choreograph, film, and then edit the tutorials. So for me, it just became like a big time suck, as Vision Paradox and everything else was becoming, as I was getting more involved with those.
Well, to my knowledge, you were a success doing that. So my next question is, what was your favorite outcome of making these tutorials, and what was your biggest pitfall back then with making the tutorials?
Biggest outcome? I'd say passive income. It's what do you call it? And those of you guys who, I guess, just to give a context, just because you make an online class on online tutorials and all that stuff doesn't mean it's guaranteed anything. Yeah. Even though I say passive income, it's not like it's paying my rent, but it does help, plenty. But I'd say successfully creating some form of passive income through my knowledge. I'd say the biggest downfall. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I feel pretty like in terms of
it was all a success.
No, I mean it's doing what I wanted it to do. Like, I mean, like the biggest from the course, or creating tutorials in general?
The whole process, making them, did it take away from anything else? Did you have to sacrifice anything to put time into this at that age? Because, people were doing other things during that time, while you're there hustling. Not everyone was hustling.
I'd say the biggest downfall was how much time it took, I think, because it did take away from family, and I had to focus a lot of it. I guess at that time, 2013, 2014, it was like Vision Paradox wasn't a company yet, but so I had a lot of time to create this. I think the biggest downfall was like, I feel like I could have probably better managed my time, or maybe not manage my time, because I felt pretty good about that. Maybe allow myself to step away from work more, realizing it's not the end of the world if I don't finish something that day.
Very good. All right. Well, now, how do you think the outcome of your online tutorials would be if you started doing it now compared to back then?
Oh, how do I think it would be if I did it today?
Yeah. If you
I still have the same knowledge, right?
Same knowledge, but if you just decided today, hey, you know what? I want to
create another course.
Yeah.
Or create new tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting from zero, or do I have my current audience?
Current audience. Because back then you start from zero, but I guess having the audience, you wouldn't have the audience if you didn't do it back then. You know?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you built most of your audience from doing it back then?
I think the tutorials were definitely a good jumping off point, because it was leveraging attention from trending songs, which was good, you know. And I think a good chunk of my audience now was built from like not leveraging my knowledge of dance and applying it to an even bigger kind of, I guess, genre or subculture, which is K-pop. So it's like, just for me, I try to, like, you know, I've said it with you guys in meetings, like I like to capitalize on my gifts and my knowledge to try to make profits off what I can do. So that's essentially like what I did with my dance tutorials, and now doing that with the K-pop stuff, reaction videos. But does that answer that question? Because I feel like I just went on a tangent.
Well, I think the next question kind of helps.
Because I still kind of want to answer that. Like, how do you think I would do, right?
Yeah, what would your success rate be if you did this now?
Right. Okay, so if my success rate now with the current audience, I think would be much higher, because there's attention, and I know what they want, and I can just simply leverage like certain requests, and there's an audience and there's a platform now. I think it would be much. Huh?
No, I'm like, then why don't you do it now? No.
I mean, I do fully intend on starting tutorials again, because I've been interested in doing choreography again. There's just a point in time in my dancing career I just wanted to freestyle. I had no interest in choreography. But yeah, more recently this year I've been wanting to just do more choreography to help me like kind of explore new forms of movement and whatnot. But yeah, if I was to start today from zero, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be much harder. Yeah. But if I had the same marketing knowledge, I think I would have an edge.
Okay, there you go. Well, then that leads into my next. What advice would you give to any dancers who would be considering? I knew it. If they were to start now with things the way they are, so many people are on social media, so many people are utilizing platforms. It's, you know, back then you were almost like the only one, I would say, doing it when YouTube started. So what advice would you give to people creating their content now if they wanted to start teaching classes?
That's a really good question. Give up. Just kidding.
You're like, pay me for this advice.
No, because like in my mind, I'm like devising like a very like broad strategy to the detailed ones. I guess it depends on what they're trying to do. Are they trying to just build? Are they trying to sell a course? Or are they just trying to build their brand and
what you did? If they were to try to mimic what you did now.
Okay, so definitely, if you're the two platforms, I would definitely put a lot of focus on would be YouTube and TikTok, obviously, because TikTok is the place for dancing. Obviously, dance to trending songs on TikTok, create your own TikTok dance, whatever. But to take it a step further, maybe find the trending songs from TikTok and create your own actual 4 counts, 8 counts on YouTube, because again, it's leveraging where the eyeballs are, where the attention is. And when it comes to any sort of product or marketing, attention is king. We live in an attention economy. So kind of leverage that. Create your own TikTok dance of trending dances, or even freestyle, whatever, just to be part of that conversation. Because that's what social media is. If you want to be noticed, you got to partake in the conversation and then kind of use that attention to funnel people to the other things. And then use, again, just so I can reiterate, use those same trending songs and create your own YouTube tutorials out of it. And then, create other content a lot as well. Because I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to fucking dance to TikTok trending songs. And yeah, I get that part. So create what you want to create as well. Just so you're still fulfilling your creative soul, your creative itch. So it's a bit of both. Leverage what's trending, create, and then keep doing that. And if you have the capacity to, try to do it every fucking day. because
That's a tough one.
it's like consistency is like a huge thing. Obviously, it's also getting your reps in there to really build that body of work. Or if you can't do it, because we got like obviously regular jobs, try to find a day where you can batch create everything. Like if you can't film something every day, or if you want to try to be consistent, find a Sunday where you're free and film fucking 12 videos. And then once you have those 12 videos, share it on TikTok, share it on YouTube. You'll have 12 weeks worth of videos, so you can be weekly on YouTube. You have 12 days, or maybe even 2 weeks worth of, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on how often you want to post on TikTok of content. So that way you can still be consistent. You can post every other day if you want, and rinse and repeat. So that way, if you say, for example, you decide to batch film for 2 Sundays, that's 24 videos. So, and that's practically like half the year, if depending on how you want to execute.
Yeah, I've noticed influencers do that when I see like they'll be wearing different outfits in different videos, but then everything else in the background is the same. Like, it's the same day. There's certain things you could tell it was all filmed in the same day, but it's a very good idea.
Yeah, it just saves time. It's more effective. It's efficient. And, it's like a lot of these influencers like treat this whole thing like a job. Like they spend 8 hours or whatnot just creating content for the platforms.
Yeah. Did you do batch content back then?
I still do it today. Like I bet. Yeah. Okay. So like it's the most effective way of creating content. Like I would go to my friend's film studio, which had a dance studio in it, and I would film like 4 hours worth of content, and then edit it. I would have 4 weeks worth of stuff, but I would go the next week so I can keep going. Like even now with the temper tantrum stuff and my YouTube stuff, our stuff is set till April.
No, you were able to do this also because you had, a skill with editing. So what would you advise people do with that? Any lessons to take? What software to use? What did you use? How did you even learn to edit?
Okay. I was lucky to have been editing since I was like in 6th, 7th grade. During my skater era, I learned how to edit because I was trying to be a sponsored skater. So I learned how to do video editing through double VHS tapes, and I would record that way and edit that way. I would like one VHS would be playing, recording, all that stuff, and then I learned how to edit on Premiere in high school. So I was like I'm kind of lucky that I was able to pick up these skill sets I'd say at a pretty young age. But if you can't afford Premiere because it's a subscription model now, I would say like iMovie works. Like whatever you have that lets you edit works. And if you have those things, use YouTube is a great resource in editing and teaching you how to edit. So I would definitely take advantage of those resources. So it doesn't you don't have to have fancy equipment to create what you want to create. More often than not, sometimes blockbuster hits are created from low budgets.
There you go. And this is kind of in relation to you doing other things. Did you ever break away from your time with dance to pursue another career? And if so, what was that career and why?
Did I ever break?
I know you told me about something and I was surprised. So,
I mean, I never. Okay. Oh, you're talking about when I was a gamer. I was working in the gaming industry. That one.
Yeah. What else did you do?
Dance has always been a constant in my life. Everything else, like the career choices were kind of different, but dance has always been there somehow or some way. Okay, I've never had to break away from it. But even when I was working prior to whole dancing and prior to Vision Paradox, and when I was working in the game industry and animation industry,
and
I was still driving to Alhambra to teach class.
Oh my gosh. So can you explain to us what you were doing aside from teaching dance at this time?
So, I mean, I could be mixing my timelines at this point, but no. I was. Jesus Christ, I was doing that.
Because dancers always do a bunch of things at the same time. So
I was still teaching dance. Like, I was still working in the animation and game industry. This was like in 2008 to 2013 is when I was working into it. Like right after I graduated, I went straight into the animation game industry. Yeah, I worked on I tell people I worked as an animator, but I technically did, but the position I did is more called rigging, which is the more technical aspect of animating, which is setting up the bones and the controllers for the animators, which also pays a lot more. But it was also one of the processes that I liked a lot more than animating. And I got to work on a couple games some people might have heard of. I worked on Quantum of Solace. I worked on Silent Hill, Shattered Memories. And the last game I ever worked on was Tomb Raider, the first reboot game. And in terms of films, I only worked on 2 movies because at least the studio that I was working with, or the animation house I was with, I just didn't like their culture. But when I was working with them, I worked on the first Smurfs movie and the last Harry Potter movie. So. And then that was it. I was like, fuck this.
I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I feel like a lot of younger dancers feel like if they're pursuing dance, they have to stick to that. They've got to put all their eggs in that basket. But really, no. I feel like one great way to make it as a dancer is to have something else on the side that will keep you afloat while you pursue your career in dance. So
yeah.
How did that come about for you? Because you said you started right after high school to do this.
For what? Animation?
Animation?
Oh, no. After high school? No, right after I graduated college. I was able to get hired.
Okay. So, he went to college.
Even though I tell half the team to drop out half the time. I tell yes, I have a bachelor's degree. Even though I tell everyone in Temper Tantrum to drop out. Yeah, so I never took a break after high school. Like right after high school, 3 weeks, after I graduated, I started college right away. And I graduated right on my 21st birthday. And I was determined.
Oh my God.
But it was
so where did you go? And what was your major?
I went to Art Institute of Art Institute of California, Los Angeles, whatever the fuck it's called. But it's gone now. It's closed. Just the whole fucking school went through some fucking financial issues. It was fucking awesome.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Terrible.
Okay, my experience of it was great, but some of the branches and some of the other people's experiences were just terrible. And how they handled the exit of how everything falling apart, and a lot of these kids being in like I remember it happened like with right the semester or the quarter after Stephanie graduated, people were like. People at the school were flocking the dean's office, trying to get their transcripts because the school was shutting down and they're like no classes and all that. And there are these kids who put money into the school that and then shutting down without notice. So so that's why that's what I'm like. That's what fucking happens. But because they're
you graduated, so you're like, sorry, bye.
Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, so I graduated. I graduated on time. My last day of school was on my birthday, but it was also the same year the economy tanked. So I remember a lot of my teachers saying, good luck finding a job because the economy's dead. And in my head, I'm a fucking young 21-year-old like, economy, schmeconomy, I'm a young buck, I'll figure it out. And, thankfully I did get hired after, but I had no understanding at that time of how, what a recession is and how bad it was or anything. And I honestly don't think I truly, thanks to my mom, she's an amazing woman. I don't think I ever felt the real hit of the recession because I didn't notice the struggles, and that's I guess testimony of how hard my mom worked.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it was, and luckily I was able to fucking get a job right after college, and then start working. So
wow, and all while dancing and teaching.
All while still dancing and teaching, and that's the thing too. While I was my last quarter of school, I faced so many people telling me like, what are you gonna do, animation or dance? You can't do both. One of my teachers said this one this one animator chick that joined our animation not club, but I guess group, and then a lot of us like, oh, she's cute and all that stuff, and then when she said like, oh, like you can't do both, like kind of condescending, I was like, no, fuck this bitch, I'm gonna prove everyone wrong.
Of course.
And then like that's where I got used to the idea like of because I don't know, I feel like, why can't you?
Exactly.
Like, why do you have to stick to one and all that stuff? And I still believe that you can get both, just not at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you got to be smart, and especially, and also like prioritize the thing in a sense that helps support yourself in a sense, until while you're chasing that. But that's the thing, like I never really pursued dance that hard to become an industry dancer. Like after my first few auditions for agencies, I was like, meh. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, because I liked the community stuff because it was enjoyable, the support. But then going to these auditions, it was like so intense. Because this is like literally everyone at the same time being interviewed for one or a few spots.
Yeah.
So it was a glorified hobby.
There you go. So yeah, I would say some people quit because of the stress. So do you feel like having made the choice to pursue animation helped you continue to enjoy dance?
Yeah, in a sense, it became like, okay, this is like this is what I'm using to support my dancing. Mm-hmm. Though the drawback with working a lot in the animation industry is that at least the time I was in it, it's super different now. But for me, it wasn't the healthiest of habits that I had, because a lot of sitting, very sedentary lifestyle, not that active, and you had to be like, even with all the dancing I was doing, it still wasn't that enough. I was gaining a lot of weight. So, but yeah, like, and so I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah, it just wasn't the healthiest lifestyle, and it started showing in terms of like my performance with my dancing.
Why you stopped?
No, in the animation industry, no. It part of it was knowing I was going to become a dad and realizing, oh my God, when I would work like 60, 80 hours, like during crunch time, a week, it was just crazy. And I got to a point where I was like, when I heard that Jordan was on his way, I was like, what kind of dad do I want to be? Mm-hmm. So I was like, am I just gonna show up tired and just give him presents, or do I actually want to be able to spend time with him the way I want?
There you go. So is this how Vision Paradox came about?
Vision Paradox came about like later. I got into it because I guess my quote unquote entrepreneurship journey started because of after I joined this leadership program. And I think that was super intense and helped a lot in helping me develop, I guess, a lot of self-awareness and how I show up in interacting with other people. But then I realized I was also really good at sales. And then that's where I joined I joined Herbalife and MLM, and I was like, yeah, like I can become like a health coach and all this other stuff. And then through that, like, because I felt like there were gaps. I was like, don't you have to be like a nutritionist and learn stuff? So I started learning a lot of stuff. There's questions in my head, so I started learning things on my own, and I started started actually training clients and all that stuff. Because I think that's the thing. The pitfall of MLMs is that they try to have you stick to their way instead of questioning it. So you made it your own. I made it my own. And what else was there? Yeah, and they kept pushing me to recruit people, recruit. And I was like, I don't fucking want to build a team if they don't want to be here. I want to sell. I'm good at it. The thing is, like the cut was shit. So that's not what I wasn't a fan of, and that's where I started realizing, oh, maybe I can start doing this on my own, and that's why I started having my own programs, and started my own packaging and everything, which just so happened to include the Herbalife products.
Yeah. Oh, so that's how it was. So for those who don't know, I wasn't on the train when Emeroy was doing YouTube, teaching tutorials, growing his fan base then. But I was around when he was doing this, and this dude, his face was like everywhere. I was seeing him through Facebook, YouTube clips, and it was like you were a life coach. I was getting all this advice left and right. I was getting emails, promo emails, like I totally forgot you did that. So
shit, yeah, dude. Yeah. So I was hustling, and then what frustrated me with, and at that point, dance became more of a smaller thing.
That was a big one for you. Because Emeroy, the nutritional life coach. That information was very good. So is there a way people can still go and find any of those videos?
You can.
Any of your coaching?
Yeah, you
where can people see this?
You can still go through my YouTube, and if you switch the order and going from the oldest, you can see a lot of my stuff from like 2011, 12, 13. And I was trying to be super inspirational and all that stuff. And I think it's what a lot of people are doing, because I was aspiring to be a life coach, but I hadn't experienced life yet. Like you're a 20-year-old telling what you haven't experienced real life yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure that people that have experienced like some real shit, but there's also these kids who are trying to become life coaches who haven't had real life experiences. They haven't seen shit. They haven't seen the dark side, but of a lot of stuff. Because, empathy in coaching people plays a huge thing. So, and sometimes for those, especially if you're young, the older people will just see that as patronizing. It's like, oh yeah, I understand. And like, oh, you're 20 years old. You don't know what the fuck I'm going through a divorce. Have you gone through a divorce? So so that's where I kind of shifted a lot of things. Like I went away from the health coaching stuff because I wasn't a nutritionist or anything like that. So I felt like there were better licensed people for that, and the pay was shit. And I was also getting really frustrated with people not listening to me. So like they were like, you give people a plan and it's hard for them to follow it, because we're humans, which is one of the reasons I prefer Vision Paradox, because I can control everything. And then the whole I went away from becoming a life coach because I went away from being a life coach because at that time I hadn't really experienced life in a real way yet. I hadn't gone to jail yet. So. But yeah, eventually, eventually started Vision Paradox, and like that, a lot of everything, these skills kind of realized, like, because I was pushing the social media stuff through the health coaching and through my tutorials, I realized I can do this for other people. I got my first client, helped him sell out a show. And then I realized, I was like, sick, I can get paid for this. So,
and who was this client?
It was for the dance theater company I was with called Antics. I joined them back in 2016. And then we were going to go perform at Philadelphia. And I asked like how our ticket sales are doing. And they were like, so I took over and did like Facebook ads and some basic, this was like before it was called influencer marketing. We did influencer marketing and sold at both shows. And I was like, sick. I didn't get paid for it, but it was cool to get a result to prove that what I did for myself can work for other people. So that's where I realized I started pushing it as a service. And Vision Paradox started going from there around 2016. Yeah, 2016. And then I got my business partners around 2017. And here we are. Oh my God, is it going to be 5 years? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There you go. So can you tell us about Vision Paradox? Because I feel like a lot of people see the logo, they see you, bring it up. Vision Paradox is partnering with this, we're doing this. So explain to us what is Vision Paradox?
Vision Paradox is a full service digital marketing agency. We work with essentially multiple industries to help them manage their social media, do the paid advertising or the creative. So, and what that means is like the creative meaning we can create the content for you, we can manage your social media for you, or we can do the advertising, or we can do everything, or we can just be consultants. Yeah, so really trying to make it a one-stop shop as much as possible. And then, yeah, we've had the opportunity of working with comedians like a comedian like Maximini. We worked with Omarion, worked with a lot of, I'd say, like big companies, but we've also worked on a couple other projects with Antics since we helped sell out their show. We helped them with their AIDS awareness campaign, which got them like 1 million views in a week. We did the I Vote Because campaign, which you and Brandon were involved in, which got picked up by Rock the Vote. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff too. But yeah, I helped with the comedian that we worked with, helped him sell out shows internationally, thousands, or if not 100,000, thousands. I don't recall the numbers in terms of ticket sales. But yeah, I think that's like a quick skim through of what we've done. I mean,
Yeah, it's huge. I feel like a lot of your fan base will look at you and be like, oh my God, amazing dancer. Look at like your content. It's videos of you performing places, doing competitions, shows, battles, all this stuff involved with dance. No one's really seeing what you're doing behind the scenes, all this time, all these years you've been spending working on this company, and it feeds into what you're doing now. It's amazing, but people don't see that.
Yeah, that's true. I also have to do a quick shout out to the real CEO of Vision Paradox, Maxine. She's the best. She's her and B-Rock her and B-Rock are on the chat right now. Shouts out to B-Rock, who's an amazing photographer, who is the much more handsome brother. Because me, Sean, and B-Rock, we all look alike. We're all like fucking the triplets.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's what I'm realizing as I'm going through my feed. He's because I'm looking at fucking this chat right now. I'm realizing that I don't share enough of the business end that I do. Like I share like the podcast stuff, which is more the inspirational stuff, but it's not exactly business tactics or business results. I don't know. I just didn't think people would be interested.
Yeah, people are probably wondering, what the heck is this man doing? Because he's over here talking about this, he's doing this, he's doing that. So it's
like people like don't know that it would be one would say I run 3 businesses, but yeah, like it's fun, I would say. But yeah, Vision Paradox, I think my dance and all that stuff and my everything and Herbalife and everything led to me being confident and the tutorials and my own personal social media experience led to Vision Paradox being created. Now that there's a machine, so to speak, I felt comfortable when we started Temper Tantrum, because in my head I'm like, this fucking 2020 when we officially became a company. How do we fucking stand out? Because there's so many dance crews nowadays, viral people, and I'm glad like the Vision Paradox is there as the machine to help create the content and manage the social media. And from the past experiences of working with all these different brands and how we can change the approach and all that. So
yeah, it's a great way to utilize what you're doing and feed it into the company. So there's a lot involved with stuff like this. And
yeah, it's with that knowledge, I feel like I felt confident that once we made it official, it wouldn't be as scary trying to build it from the ground up, because family business, my first dance career that I started back in 2004, that was hard as fuck. Where when social media wasn't that big yet, and it was MySpace and it was for fun. Oh, those struggles. And I took those lessons into Vision Paradox, and I combined the lessons from Vision Paradox to get us ready for Temper Tantrum.
There you go. And I was actually going to ask you next, what was the first dance company you joined? So it was
the aside, not including my high school dance team, right?
I guess, yeah, no, after high school.
After high school, I started my own team. So
And that was
well, back then it was called ESUI, but I consider as part of the FanBiz history, so to speak, because that was the catalyst, because it was and the same co-founders that kind of created. But yeah, like, because the teams that I wanted to be a part of, Pack Modern, Cabo Modern, and Team Millennia, like these are the big collegiate teams that I wanted to be a part of, were all like at least 30 miles away, like Fullerton, Long Beach, fucking Irvine. Like, I'm a college kid going to Santa Monica. I'm not about to fucking spend my gas money to go all the way fucking to Long Beach just to rehearse. I mean, other people did it. I just did not have that luxury to and especially if I wanted to graduate on time, I didn't have that luxury. Like the least I can do is teach class and all that stuff. But yeah, I started family business like right after, like 2005, 2004. So, and I realized like I can't go there. Might as well start our own thing. And then the first official company I joined was Culture Shock back in 2008. So,
and I think a lot of people remember that too.
Yeah. So
very cool. So in your mind, what goes into maintaining a successful and enjoyable dance company? Because you've been involved with so many. Besides being an asshole, what goes into maintaining a successful and enjoyable dance company? Because I think a lot of people have experienced being with companies and it's been hard, stressful. What would you say creates a successful environment?
A successful environment.
It's not chastising your members.
Oh my God, Max and V-Rock on the chat are saying drugs.
Of course. You know how many times I had to not type that into my questions?
So I think, oh man, because I'm trying to avoid sounding cliche, and even sounding more cliche by saying that I don't want to sound cliche. I think the big part is, because there's a lot of answers that are coming up for me, is the first thing is you gotta be able to create memes out of all the members. No, I think the first thing before you even can start creating culture, because I feel like that's the second thing, is being clear with what you want to have happen.
Okay.
Because if you're not clear with the end goal, you're just just a friend group.
Yeah.
You're just fucking around and whatnot. There's no business, so to speak, getting done. Or it can be fun. I think everyone operates differently, but I think it being clear with the bigger picture of what you want to have happen, and being not clear but having an idea of how to get there helps. I mean, which is why, like, in the first meeting of Temper Tantrum on February 25th, 2020, like, I had a 1-year plan of how I wanted to execute. Like, and obviously COVID changed that, but people fell in love with the vision. People will fall in love with the vision and why you're doing something first, because then, because I feel like if you're too buddy in the beginning, or if you don't have that respect of, like, quote unquote hierarchy, and you're too comfortable on your friends first, people will take things personally. They'll overstep boundaries. And this is something that I learned from running family business the first time. Like, we started off with 6 friends, and then by 2005, like, I was the only graduate there. Everyone else was still seniors. So after that, I was running family business on my own for until 2007.
Wow.
And then I'd grown it to 18 members, and people bounce out. People get flaky. And then at one point it was even just 2 members doing it. So,
wow.
Which is why I was hesitant, like, of starting Temper Tantrum, because I had a lot of experience of flaky people. Like, oh yeah, I'm down. That was like fucking years. I'm down. Come Sunday, no one shows up. And that's why I was like, again, hesitant. I didn't want it to happen because I didn't want to deal with a repeat of being flaked on from people who don't show up. And that's why I guess one of the main lessons I learned was, like, people, watch people's actions over the words, even though, like, and that's definitely something, younger leaders or aspiring leaders to be mindful of, because I definitely had a lot of people say they were down, like, and I was like excited, yeah, 20 people, and then next week or next year it just changed. And that's because I just wanted to create a group and dance. I think that was like the main thing. I just wanted to create a group. That was my why. Like, create a group. Like, I can do this. Like, and the biggest thing that kept me going was the piece of advice that I got that stuck with me was that the first 3 years of any business is the hardest. So I was like, it wasn't a business, but I just knew like I had to stick with it because somehow it's gonna fucking work out. I had no idea. Because there's a vision in my head from 2004. And this happened while we were rehearsing at a basement of a church, because that's like the biggest space that they had. Like, I saw us on stage competing against these collegiate teams, and we won. That was like a vision that I saw when I was 16. Oh yeah, okay, maybe it was not. I started this my senior year, but yeah, like. That's what drove me. Like, I wanted family business to be like an equal, like not just like an upcoming team, which is what a lot of my experience was, like all the way till 2012. Like, oh, they're one of the teams that's the younger teams that's on the up and up, even though we weren't young, but we were getting more noticed. So, but that vision was like, we're gonna be there. We're gonna get not first place, but maybe place, but to be like seen as that. And I think it's gone to a point, like when I came back, it got to a point that people know us. But yeah, that vision is what drove me, and it eventually led me to, again, bringing Mark back after he graduated. He came back, and I think him and I were a great duo in terms of building that team. And then because I remember once we came back, this is the 2007. We competed at the USA Collegiate Nationals. It was a great fun time. But then this is where we started experiencing like people being too comfortable and not listening. Like when Mark and I were like, all right, like, you're fucking up, fix this. The people who were so comfortable because they're friends are like, why are you talking to me like this? Like, you're my friend. You're like, think you're a director. So that's where it's like, that boundary kept getting stepped on. So, and then fucking eventually people just started leaving. And then Mark left too. I think it was a good 3 months that it was on hiatus. And in my mind, I was like kind of heartbroken, because I was like, fuck, man. Like, I don't think I've ever told this story to anyone, but yeah, it was rough, because I was like, I felt like a girl just broke my heart. Because this was my thing. Like, and we were getting really a good start, better, like, and all that stuff, but that's our rebirth, so to speak. But then it fell apart for a little bit, and then Mark and I talked again, and then we decided, like, if we're gonna do these rehearsals and we're gonna bring our friends, we got to set the tone. It's like, when we're in rehearsal, it's gonna get shit done. We got to get shit done. Like we love you guys, we're all family. We've got to get business done. So, and then Mark was listening to a Kanye West song called Family Business. We rebranded and showed up at 2009, maxed out as Family Business. And then that was our first big dance competition in the community. And then,
did that go over well? You guys kind of reintroducing yourself with this?
Yeah, it reinvigorated us. It showed like it was a really strong, positive step in terms of like consistent members. And also at that same year, we officially moved to we officially found a home studio at JV Dance Center. Before that, we were always practicing at parks, like fucking for years.
We know that life.
So, and then kids would be annoying us, and creeps would be trying to be like, talk to the girls during rehearsal. And yeah, and then, but it was getting the wins would be like finding a home studio, competing at that, consistent members who were, and like contractually saying that they're down.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, it was obviously there was still a lot of learning to happen, but we broke through in creating consistency in members. And then we eventually, because before it was all just like invite only, this is how you get into the team. Now it's like people wanted to audition. And then we were kind of taken aback, like, oh, and then we started having auditions every year, and it started getting bigger. So.
All right, and that was a lot. So in order to compartmentalize this, so to create a successful company, taking away from all of that.
Tangent.
Yeah, no, but it was good because we got the backstories on it all, and we got to hear how each one of those standards came about.
Yeah,
so
to create to circle it back in, yeah, you have to have a clear vision of what you want, and then to continue building off that is obviously knowing what you want, why you want it, but also being empathetic to your company members. Like, you have to know why they are in it too, because I think the people get it twisted when it comes to being a leader, is that they think they're there to serve the main guy, so to speak, or but the thing is, it's especially with the leadership training that I went through, is like the leaders are the servants. They serve the company, or they set the team to win. Like it goes even to get biblical here. Like even Jesus washed the feet of his apostles. You have to be super humble to I mean, albeit I'm not humble. I fucking talk shit to everyone on the team, but I know my role in the team and how I can best serve the team to be successful. And it's to be how do I make sure that, I don't know, how do I make sure that we're positioned to be recognized? How do I make sure that this film is positioned to be at the highest level? How do I make sure that we don't waste time in rehearsals? How do I make sure that everyone feels comfortable with the choreography and all this stuff? So it's things I'm taking into consideration, so that way the team is set up to win. Yeah, but that's going into a tangent again.
Well, we feel that. We feel that, even though you're an asshole, we feel that.
So empathy is definitely a big thing. Yeah. Being able to listening to what the members want. What do they want, and how do you help them get there? Another one, it would be, I guess, being vulnerable, being okay that.
That's a tough one.
So, and that doesn't mean showing that crying in rehearsals, because I'm fucking proud of rehearsals. But it's vulnerable in terms of letting go of control sometimes, or letting things go differently. In rehearsals, it might because of my example. It's I speak in a certain way that for some people who are working with me for the first time are not used to it, and sometimes people might find that offensive. So that's my vulnerability of it's not as vulnerable as the crying, but it's my vulnerability of being honest, because this is how I will talk. And if you do not like it, you're free to leave. And if you're okay with it, you're just gonna become, I'm gonna love you, but I'm still gonna talk shit to you. And I feel it's being able to be honest with yourself in a sense, and that requires a lot of vulnerability, because not everyone's gonna like you for who you are. So.
I've been with companies where leaders are just stone cold. They wouldn't take a break to laugh for anything, rather than just show us their true selves. So I see it in a sense like that. You definitely just give us yourself. You are who you are, and it helps the dancers connect even better.
Yeah, so and I feel it because that the people are unafraid. Well, not unafraid, but feel comfortable to talk shit to me, in a sense, or even tell me their honest opinions, because I feel a lot of people in a leadership role, there ends up being a huge disconnect of the employees, so to speak, talk, and then the boss comes and they change.
Mm-hmm. So there's an open door policy with you.
So it's I think it's because part of it is I'm unapologetic in how I speak and what I do with you guys. And I think part of it is not judging or saying any ideas are stupid, because even though I say it as a joke, but I still let them share their opinions and try to empathize with it. Try not to make them feel wrong, even though it just make them feel stupid.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. All right. I've got some rapid fires next. So we're going to be wrapping this up.
Okay, so let me check the chat. So B-Rock says you need a clear vision, or you'll be stuck in a vision. You're stupid, B-Rock. Eddie, I appreciate you being on here. I feel that how that being flicked on. Okay, B-Rock, that sucks. Oh, that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy if you joined. B-Rock, you might have known each other sooner. Okay, so rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire. So you got to just spit your first thought at us, okay? Favorite color?
Drugs. Oh
my God. No. It's not allowed. Don't do that, people. Very bad. Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite dance icon?
Dance icon? Michael Jackson.
Happiest memory as a performer?
Happiest memory as a performer? Fuck, there's a lot. I'd say coming back on the Universal stage and being consciously aware of my performance.
Aww. Happiest memory as a teacher?
As a teacher, being able to compete and battle with one of my students.
Oh, nice. Worst memory as a performer?
When I blanked out. Front and center on the Urban Street Jam stage on my own very own choreography. I blanked out.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Greatest accomplishment?
Jordan.
Yes, I do. Good job. Biggest disappointment?
Letting you on the team. Okay. So biggest disappointment for real. Not standing up against toxic people when I was running family business.
Damn. Okay. If you could tell one thing to your 16-year-old self, what would it be?
You're going to change.
Oh, and this is a similar one to what you asked me during my interview. If all of your memories of your career and success wiped away, how would you explain your life to your grandchildren?
How would I explain my life to my... Okay, this is completely different from the question I asked you.
How would you explain your life, yourself, your legacy?
To my grandchildren, if everything... shit.
Because I feel like you don't care much about what other people think. I feel like your grandkids, you'd want to tell them.
That's a fair point. If everything was wiped away and what I want to tell my kids, in terms of...
your legacy, who you are, what you accomplished.
What would I want to tell them about myself? That would help set them up.
Nothing about your history. No way of knowing who you were, what you did.
So this is where my overthinker comes in, and I interpret things differently. Am I sharing their lessons, or am I talking about myself?
I don't know.
Okay. So you can see
they know nothing.
So okay, so I guess I would tell them about what I would say about myself is someone who I guess worked his butt off to pursue, what he wanted to have, and to have control to do what he wanted, because I definitely had to fight tooth and nail to get where I'm at now, and it wasn't easy. And the lessons would be clear with what you want, but it's okay to change your mind.
Very good.
And persevere, because it's always going to be the long game.
Very good. And the last one, if you could leave just one piece of advice to the world, what would it be?
Drugs. One piece of advice for the world?
What would it be? One.
Be empathetic with yourself and persevere.
Very good. Yay! And that concludes this interview.
So
I am not good with closing out.
So that is it. Anyone on the chat, B-Rock, if you want to interview me next, let me know. Max, if you want to, I know Max, we have our own podcast. We kind of never mind. We have our own thing. But B-Rock, Eddie, or anyone from Temper Tantrum watching, if you guys want to interview me next and you got your own questions, let me know. But other than that, those of you guys watching on Twitch, I appreciate you guys. Those of you guys watching on YouTube, if you liked it, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share this with friends who you think might enjoy. If you... I forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, listen to the other stuff check out the other stuff on here as well. Aside from the podcast, check out the dance videos, the dance films we shared, and freestyle videos. Listen to the podcasts, other podcasts I'm in, such as Aqua Tea Party, Move, Groove, and Grow, and all that stuff. And make sure you give Krystle a follow. She has an OnlyFans as well. So that's it. I appreciate you guys all for listening. Have a great night, day, evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.